Hey guys, Infidel 1258. Got to talk about more proposals. Man, the modifications to the economy and to the Splinterlands ecosystem ever since the DAO and the decentralized governance has really kind of taken root has been dramatic, fast paced, and rapidly evolving. There's more changes that are coming to Splinterlands in the form of, or at least proposed changes coming to Splinterlands in the form of accepting DEC for Riftwatchers or maybe even for validator nodes. And while I do think that selling off the remainder of Riftwatchers and validator nodes, as well as disposing of a lot of DEC, all three things would ultimately long-term be positive for Splinterlands. I can't support this proposal, but we need to look at this and kind of, I want to break down what I'm reading, as well as a comment from Yabamat in the Maverick channel that it hopefully helps us at least understand where they're coming from in a fuller way. As we do on the channel, hopefully we can analyze difficult, even complicated topics in a nuanced fashion that allows you guys to walk away with a clearer understanding and make a more informed decision. That's the aim here. If that sounds interesting, stick around, stay tuned. Let's get into it. Before we do, though, I haven't said this in a while. My name is Dwayne Cunningham. I go by Infidel 1258, and you can just call me 12. If you follow Splinterlands kind of on social media, I figure you probably already know about this. This has been today. Like, this has been everybody. I saw Aftersound, Bulldog. I've seen a ton of chat in the Mavs. I've seen Discords kind of blown up. World War III in there. A lot of tension. And so let's try and just work through a couple of the details, and then, like I said, talk about what I'm seeing and why I just don't think I can stand for this. But the first place we got to start is the governance proposal itself. This is with respect to the Riftwatcher packs, but the same logic applies to the idea of there's a second proposal which would apply to the validator nodes. And again, I want to say out of the gate, if we could sell off all the Riftwatcher packs, I actually think that would be for the betterment of our ecosystem, the economy, the player base. That'd be good on a lot of fronts. Getting rid of the Riftwatcher packs in a timely manner is good. Actually, burning DEC, which will happen through the process of this, if proposal passes, this will essentially lock up and get rid of DEC, drawing it back up to, well, hopefully to peg, and if not to peg, closer to peg. And that's a good thing for us also. If you don't know kind of how those, if you don't agree that those are good things, that selling Riftwatcher packs are good, or that getting DEC to peg are good, I think you probably haven't fully explored that for yourself, because, and I don't want to make the whole video about justifying how those things would be good, but I do think we need to talk about that for at least 1 minute. Selling Riftwatcher packs would eliminate the supply of the cards if we were able to liquidate all of the packs, all 3 million sold. In the same way, if we were able to sell the remaining 5 million of the Chaos Legion packs, you then start to see the existing supply be the final supply, and you're going to, not only that, but there'll be a reduced supply as days go by, because there's never more. At that moment in time, there will never be more created, and so there's only ever less. And every day that another pack gets opened, every time another pack gets opened, the supply shrinks and shrinks and shrinks, allowing the pack prices to either stay high or go higher. That's great for pack holders. The cards inside again, you never have more supply than at that moment when they all sell. And additionally, as people buy those cards off the marketplace and combine them, you get that deflationary pressure causing the supply to shrink, but the price to go up, because there's demand for those assets, and presumably growing demand. So reduced supply, growing demand is a great recipe for price appreciation. So that's why we would want to see the packs disappear. And similarly, we would benefit if the DEC shot to them back to par, because there's so many different things there. And I want to really be quick about this. But one example of why that would be good is because as DEC touches peg, there becomes opportunities for people to actually, in a logical way and for good reason, burn SPS in exchange for their DEC. That's something that you can do even now, but there's no reason to do it now. DEC and SPS are properly aligned for that sort of a trade to happen. But if DEC reaches close to par, meaning 1,000 DEC is $1, then you can actually and logically burn SPS for DEC. And why would you do that? Well, people need DEC for a lot of things in the game. You need DEC to upgrade your guild. You need DEC to, well, it's actually the best way to buy cards. If you have DEC, you can put bid buys in and so forth. And so there are many reasons why you would want you want to supply liquidity pools. There's many reasons why you would want DEC. And if they're on par with SPS at that $1 DEC rate, that's going to create burn mechanics for SPS, which is great for the economy long term. So I can simultaneously say to you that I want Riftwatchers, I want Chaos Legion, I want Validator Nodes, I want DEC to all go down in supply. That's true, I do. And I can even say that I like DEC being used as a peg for things like Riftwatchers or Chaos Legion or Validator Nodes. And if they want to give us that arbitrage opportunity like they've done with Chaos Legion, that's amazing. And they should do that. That's a really logical thing for this game. It makes so much sense to me. If you don't know what I'm talking about, when you buy Chaos Legion packs from Splinterlands directly, you actually get $1 for 1,000 DEC. If I was to buy one pack right now and I was to pay with DEC, they're going to ask for I'm not sure that's popping up on the screen. Yeah, it is. You can see there. It's asking me for 4,000 DEC to get one pack. That's because the pack is $4 and they're giving me a rate of 4,000 equals $4. But since the DEC price at this point is about half of that, like pretty close to half of that, they're actually accepting something like $2 from me and they're giving me a $4 pack. And so that is what it will mean. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to Splinterlands, that is what we mean when we say like a peg value, or when we say that they're giving an arbitrage opportunity, because they're accepting the asset, which is DEC, dark energy crystals, for far greater exchange rate than the general free market is. And if I was to trade 4,000 DEC on Hive Engine, I'm going to get roughly $2. So Splinterlands is literally taking a loss to get rid of DEC and they're trying to create a floor on the price of DEC. It's a great mechanic. It's brilliant. Long term, I think that's such a smart thing for the game to do, especially since they print these cards, right? They imagine the cards, they program the cards, but they don't have to like physically construct paper cards or package them or ship them or store them. There's no overhead for this stuff. These are NFTs, and therefore there's a lot of margin that they could take advantage of, and they can do that sort of burn, quote unquote losing value on every pack without much of a problem. And so I love that. So you might say, like, I support most of what this is about, and yet we talk about how it says Riftwatcher packs are currently purchased with SPS and at current market price, and not DEC, because the details of the pack sale were announced before SPS burn mechanism for DEC was live. That's kind of irrelevant. The point is you can use SPS, but you can't use DEC currently, and that was how the packs launched. And people who bought Riftwatcher packs did so. You know, like people like me, I sold SPS I didn't want to sell because that was the only way to get it. And, you know, that's not why I wanted to stay SPS. I actually think it'd be great if we could move towards DEC, but I just don't think at this moment, a month into the sale, that this sort of alteration is appropriate. They want to make it for 5,000 DEC will buy you a pack. That would be the peg value of the DEC, and that would allow you to, if the proposal were to pass, all DEC tokens spent to purchase Riftwatcher packs would go to the DAO, just like the SPS tokens, and the staked SPS token holders can decide what to do with them, whether burning them or providing liquidity or whatever else. In some sense, they're saying, like, look, it's your value. It'd end up in the DAO because we control the DAO. So be excited about that. But I don't buy that. Because here's the problem. It's not that it's wrong. It's true. It would end up in our DAO and we would control that. But the problem is, it's not just that, it was SPS and now it's DEC. The real fundamental problem with this change would be that after a month of selling it to SPS, like to early buyers who committed SPS and who committed vouchers, to now come in and create essentially a buy mechanic that would cost half of that value, roughly. And I've heard it said that, well, the conversion from USD or from SPS or by any other cryptocurrency into DEC would cause the DEC market to increase, and really rapidly this arbitrage would disappear. I just don't know that I agree with that. That's kind of what we said would happen with Chaos Legion, and it didn't. And I just don't know that there's enough buying pressure left in Riftwatchers, even if you create this moment, even if you create this arbitrage play. And so I just don't know that, one, this approach is going to work. Two, I don't think it's fair because of the timing of it and how only a month ago you started pre-selling this thing for SPS and nothing else. Some people like myself sold, millions of DEC to get SPS to buy the Riftwatchers. And now all of that could be just sour grapes. That's almost like, who cares? I got to put it's one of my thoughts, but it's not. I almost need to put that aside because it's just me in my particular situation. Yours is, unique also. But I just really think after a month you can't change the rules. And why? Why? Because at the end of because it to me it looks like flailing. To be honest, this is. I don't like that our developers have thrown out some ideas and then, very quickly retracted them or, flip-flopped on them. It really scares me in a sense of undermining the vision and the reliability of the plan. How many did we print way too many Riftwatcher packs? Is that the real problem? Did we allow DEC to get too many? Apparently there's 10 billion, 11 billion DEC. In part that was because of how the game mechanic worked before with the rewards. Maybe we need to come up with other burn mechanics to bring that peg down. But this, with Riftwatchers or with Validator Nodes, especially after people have dumped so much money into them very, very recently, I don't like that at all. If you wanted to do something like, alter how Chaos Legion worked, and that's been out for a year and hasn't sold out, that I could maybe get behind. But Riftwatchers being so new, that's an important consideration. And for me, and it implies, it undermines my confidence in their ability to be calm and level-headed about the planning of the economy. Just patiently wait, man. Wait for DC will slowly climb back up. And if it doesn't, let's make that decision in a few months, or maybe do this with Rebellion. But again, people planned accordingly because of how Riftwatchers was launched, and they took action to plan their own position and position themselves so that they could acquire Riftwatchers if they wanted Riftwatchers. And now to kind of just totally change how that looks, I don't think that looks good at all. And before we go, and I think we should finish with this, I want to read what Yaba had to say about these topics, because he's weighed in the Mav chat. He goes, ultimately, it's up to stakeholders to decide, and everyone should vote how they feel is right. But here's some things they think about regarding the topic. One, many are focusing on packs and licenses being sold for 50% off. But in reality, the discount would be very short-lived and only a relatively small amount of packs and licenses, since if there is any sort of demand, that's key. If there is any sort of demand for these items, the discounts, then the DEC will increase towards 1,000 per dollar quickly, and the discount will go away. That he's saying the arbitrage opportunity will disappear because if there is any sort of demand. And I think I just tried to allude to the fact, I'm not convinced there would be. And you've heard me say before, when these things launch, Riftwatchers launches, Chaos Legion launches, Validator, there's always a ton of excitement right away, because a certain percentage of the audience of this game must have these projects. They're so convinced that they're going to be successful, myself included, that they want to take action immediately so they don't miss the boat. But then once those buyers are satisfied, or at least largely satisfied, you watch the purchase volume just dwindle. And you look at Chaos Legion packs, and you look at the first million Chaos Legion packs sold in the first day or something. And then with respect to Riftwatchers, the 500,000 pre-sale sold in like a minute. And yet, and again, with the same with Rooney, the same with like even everything we've ever sold is that story, because there's a certain number of people who really want it, and then once they get mostly satisfied, the buy volume dries up. And so when we say, this would potentially, he says, if there was any sort of demand, what he means is if there was lots of demand. Yeah, if there was lots of demand, and if people really thought this was an amazing deal, it would theoretically drive DEC to peg, because people would go in and buy DEC. But here's the thing, if there's 10 billion DEC out there, and you're talking 5,000 equals a Riftwatcher pack, so that would be at 5,000 DEC, 10 billion DEC would amount to 2 million packs. So that could theoretically gobble up all of the DEC. There's 10 billion excess DEC, and it's 10 or 11 or something. And then if you charge 5,000 DEC per pack, it would conceivably gobble up all the DEC and sell away all the remaining Riftwatcher packs. But here's the thing, I don't really believe that would happen. What I believe is would happen is the big stakeholders who own the rich list DEC holders, who in some cases hold 15 million DEC, 11, 10. Some of these are individuals, people, 10, 9, 8. These are individuals, not like corporate entities. And they would have the opportunity to exercise that power of the buying power of that DEC. They wouldn't need to go out and acquire new DEC. So there isn't necessarily a market pressure that's going to unfold here on the DEC. So if the hope is, based on Matt's comment, that if there's any sort of demand for these Riftwatcher packs at 50% off, the DEC is rapidly going to appreciate, and that's going to take away the arbitrage opportunity. That's only true if people have to go to the marketplace. And I think a good enough number of people won't have to do that. I don't know, man. I don't really think that this is going to trigger anything more than a moderate. Because here's the thing: if you like arbitrage opportunities, why is no one buying up the Riftwatcher packs? They're selling for arbitrage. You could buy a $4 pack for $2, and you could still get access to 4 more legendary summoners. So I would argue that these are pretty tantalizing if you really believe that people are gonna rush out and arbitrage DEC. Why isn't this more successful? And you might say, well, because Chaos Legion cards are actually inexpensive right now, and the price per pack of Chaos Legion is lower than you might imagine. So we can go to Splinter Cards. 1 Chaos Legion pack, paid $4. Say we use no potions. 1 Chaos Legion pack is going to be valued on average $1.52. The cards inside of it on average, and in fact, it's like estimated value of a basic pack, 4 commons and 1 rare, which is just like that's all you're promised, is 73 cents. And so the valuation of what you're getting for what you're paying, people would say, look, that's why people aren't arbitraging the Chaos Legion anymore. What do you think is going to happen, guys, when they institute this? If they institute this plan, what do you think is going to happen to the card value of Riftwatchers? Do you think the cards are going to go up in value as millions of packs get opened? And why would those millions of packs get opened? Just think about it. Just look at this data right here. Riftwatcher pack. Let's say you paid $2.50. No, they're $5 packs. So let's call it 5. You're getting 1 Riftwatcher pack, $5 per pack. And you're calculating and it's worth $3.48 with, if assuming you use no potions. But here's the deal: you're not paying $5 for that pack. You're actually paying. Look, DEC is 000571. So we go 5,000 DEC, 000571. That's the price per DEC. You're paying $2.85 per pack to buy it from Splinterlands if they implement this. And then you're immediately able to open them, and you're able to arbitrage. You not only are you arbitraging the pack from Splinterlands, but you're then able to arbitrage the cards on peak monsters. Because you pay $2.85 and you're immediately able to sell them for $3.48, assuming you had no potions, and some people already have potions, right, saved up because the game gives them to you now because of your rank battles. So that's like a 20% or something arbitrage opportunity. It's a 50% arbitrage opportunity on your DEC. Like you're almost getting double the value for a DEC, and then simultaneously you're going to get a payment on the card sales. So what's going to happen to Riftwatcher cards? They're going to go down because there's going to be a ton of new liquidity, because people are going to do this to access the packs until such time that the actual open pack value of a Riftwatcher pack equates to the $2.50 you paid for to get the DEC. So here's the thing: when Matt says that the pack or the price of DEC will increase towards $1,000 per dollar quickly, no, it won't. It'll increase quickly to the middle ground that is justified by the cards within the pack. I'm going to say that again. If the cards inside the pack are worth $3.48, then the cards, then what will happen is the DEC will reach $3.48 for 5,000 DEC. That's what'll happen. But actually, one more step will happen. That'll happen first, because people will be willing to spend DEC or to buy DEC to execute that trade so that they can get Riftwatcher airdrops. And then even if they break even on the sale of the cards, would be fine with them, because they're getting free airdrops then, and free titles potentially. So then what will happen? Then the card value will drop below the pack value. The card value will continue to fall because the supply will continue to come online until it gets below the $2.50 you actually essentially are spending, or until DC and the pack value find a middle ground. So the cards are going to go down. The packs will start at $5, and now suddenly they'll be $2.50. The cards inside them are worth $3.48. So DEC will raise a little because there will be buying pressure to take advantage of that 20% arbitrage opportunity. But then as DEC is going up and packs are being bought, cards are being opened and sold, bringing the value of the Riftwatcher cards down. And then I suspect we get DEC flatlining at 0.65 or something, 0.00065. Which would be an increase, but there's no way we make it back to 1,000 from this. I showed you earlier, if we sold every single pack, we would burn so much DC that we would almost necessarily make it back to 1,000, but we won't do that. We don't have buyers that are so desperate for tens of thousands, for millions of packs. What we have is people who are looking for arbitrage opportunities, and those who wanted Riftwatchers are mostly satisfied already, or they would continue to be buying even now. So this is not going to do what is outlined in this first point. All it's going to do is give a marginal increase to the DEC. And I would argue, while that's interesting, you can't just flip flop on what a month ago. Riftwatchers was going to be a mechanic through which we got SPS into the DAO. Riftwatchers was going to be a pack that was sold specifically and exclusively for SPS. And to try and now create backdoor opportunities for discount, I get it. If you have a clothing store or a business and you sell product, and that product has been sitting on the shelves for months and months and months, it makes sense to give some discounts to try and move that, close that, and move on to the next project. And if with Chaos Legion in particular, I didn't raise a stink. I didn't say anything on the channel about how they recently did like bulk discounts on Chaos Legion. because I figure it's been a year, and you know, man, like if we could get rid of these things, it probably would be in the best interest. I think that was an admission. The fact that they recently did bulk buy of Chaos Legion for a second time was an admission that Chaos Legion, they issued too many packs. And then I think Riftwatcher, not only did they release too many packs of Chaos Legion, I think they released Riftwatchers too soon, because now there's too much purchasing, and probably a third problem, there might be too much Riftwatchers in general. So, man, it feels like that's at least 3 mistakes. And now I feel like they're trying to correct through what I would consider unsavory. Look, it's not like a malicious thing. I don't believe that there's any malice whatsoever, but man, it is not, it doesn't, it actually seems to me to be, it's going to cast doubt on investors. And I saw After Sound say this on his video, and I think it's 100% true. If this happens, I think the next time we have a pre-sale, people are gonna, they're gonna balk at that. It's not gonna be and people aren't gonna go as deep and as hard as they do for regular pre-sales. If you start doing this thing, 4, 5, 6 weeks after you launch a new project. If you printed too many Chaos Legion, create a proposal about how you're going to burn them. I don't know if that would be approved either, but I get it. This is almost a year now. Riftwatchers is too new. What are we doing throwing around new proposals of how we're going to lower the cost through now introducing DEC? Yeah, you should have introduced DEC on Riftwatchers at day one. Don't talk about how, it wasn't because there wasn't a burn mechanic. You could have used DEC regardless. That's not true. It's just, you could have, this SPS burn mechanism for DEC was live. They say only because the details of the pack sale were announced before the SPS burn mechanism for DEC was live. That wouldn't matter. There would have been other ways to get DEC. If we wanted to use DEC, no, the whole point was we wanted to use SPS and fill the DAO with SPS through the sale of Riftwatcher. That was the point. So I feel like this is misleading too, but at the end of the day, the real issue is you don't change the rules to the game. At least give it a period of time where we finally have seen, we've been patient, we watch it, and wow, they just really aren't selling. Like we've seen with Chaos Legion. I could get behind something like some sort of big change or proposal for Chaos Legion because it's been here for a while. But that would be an acknowledgement of an error with Chaos Legion calculations. And I'm okay with that. They're only human. They're going to make mistakes. I'm even okay if we want to say, well, maybe we did release, we released too much DEC, or, we really do need to create more, DEC things or even they talked about changing how the liquidity pools were. There's lots of things I'd be open to hearing about, but it just feels with Riftwatchers and Validator Nodes, I think it hurts too much because you have too many people who recently bought for full prices, and now you're going to give this backdoor opportunity for discounts. And I also just don't think it's going to work like they think it's going to work. And this is Yaba saying it's going to drive it up quickly. No, it won't, for the reasons I already explained. And there's something here he says that I believe is probably kind of close to truth. So let's talk about that too before we go. Let's see. My focus, along with the company in general, is always to grow the ecosystem and provide the most value for the assets sustainably. Yeah, I believe that. With that in mind, we are always going to push whatever changes are best to achieve that. Now, yeah, subjectively, right? Whatever changes are best to achieve that. You have to subjectively believe that this proposal would be best, and I don't. Even if it hurts some players in the short term, this sentence is gonna piss some people off. I get it. He's just saying, he's trying to be clear and concise. He's trying to say, look, we're not trying to piss you off. But at the end of the day, you can't please everybody is kind of what he's saying, but that's going to piss some people off. And he says, over the long run, if we get this right, no one will be upset that they purchased RW packs and or licenses with SPS. I think that's true also. That's why I said at the beginning of the video, if we were to sell all our Riftwatcher packs, or if we were to sell all of the Validator Nodes, people who hold those things are going to be pumped that that's done. I promise those prices will go up when the sales are done. But the problem is, the question isn't, would we be happy if those were sold? The question is this mechanic generally positive and beneficial to the ecosystem and to the audience who you've already enticed to buy these products. If you sell to John, he's the first seller, and you give him $5 a pack, and then he feels you make it sound like you got to push and shove, that all the hype and all the excitement, and then there's tons left over, and you turn and you sell somebody else for $250. People like John, and that's a number of us now are gonna say the next time, whoa, like you guys are gonna print 50 million packs of Rebellion or something crazy, and I'll just wait. And I don't, you guys, I think we gotta build this foundation of trust. We've got to create this consistency and this reliability, or we're gonna be in trouble in the future. And one last thing, he goes, this isn't too much different than if SPS price went up significantly. So in that case, anyone who had already purchased RWB packs and licenses paid much more than people now, which is true. He's saying, like, if SPS doubled in price today or last week, or if it was $1 per SPS now, people would get discounted RWB packs in a sense because they would spend fewer SPS. But that isn't the same thing, but I agree. I do agree that is in some sense the same idea. Like, look, the way the economy changes and the winds shift, and it's possible for other people to get discounts that you didn't take advantage of just because of timing. That's his point. Timing is everything, and just because they get a deal doesn't mean that it's wrong. And on some sense, I agree. But the problem is, this is different because one, he's talking about market pressures, SPS moving in an unpredictable fashion, versus Splinterlands coming out and saying we're creating an artificial market condition whereby deals are available to certain people who didn't push and shove. I thought the whole thing was, there's not enough, please push and shove. So yeah, man, I don't think this is a good one. I think supported every proposal. So I just think Riftwatchers needs to run its course. I do think ultimately all packs should be sold for DEC, and I do ultimately think every asset the Splinterlands sells should honor the DEC peg, but they didn't in this case, and they shouldn't now. Now, if in 12 months time or even 9 months time Riftwatcher still hasn't sold out, then I could get behind a proposal like this, because timing is appropriate. It's like I said earlier with the analogy of a store. If you have stock sitting on the shelves and you can't get rid of it, yeah, you throw out a sale price. But after 4 weeks, I mean, that really smacks of, wow, we misread this. Like, we made an error, and a big one, and we're almost panic button time, where we're like, what can we do to fix this? We want to get the DEC down. The DEC is falling still, and we're panicking, I think. I don't know, guys. I hope this one doesn't go through. And there are a ton of people who feel the way I feel. I saw this is kind of Aftersound's opinion. This is kind of Bulldog's opinion. I see in the Mav chat, most people agree that this is, they would be very pissed. In Time and Attention, my guild, they're like, these guys are like ready to start picketing. Like, I'm seeing a lot of negative feedback. And I think at the end of the day, it boils down to that one idea that, look, if you want to do something like this, we all love it. But you got to tell us in advance. We make preparations and plans according to what you tell us. And if you switch things up a month afterwards, those who committed, those who prepared, those who planned to then liquidate SPS to take action on the day one are going to feel gypped, are going to feel screwed by the fact that things have now changed. And even if ultimately that point about Yaba saying, if we sell all the packs, if we sell all the licenses, no one will be upset that they purchased them for these prices, that the prices we paid them for. That's true. But this program is not going to lead to $1 DC, 1,000 equals $1 DC, 1,000 DC equals $1. It's not. This program is not going to lead to immediate sale of all Riftwatcher packs. It's not. It's not going to lead to immediate sale of all the Validator nodes. And I don't know why we're even trying to rush those things. I think the only reason we're rushing is because we want to bring the DEC down. And if that's the true goal, this is not the best means to that end. Do something with, liquidity pool, DEC print rates. It's been suggested. It's been the community seems to desire it. I've seen it in the comments. I've seen it from Tails. there's lots of things you could do. You want to give some discounts? I don't know. Maybe there's something with guilds. Maybe there's something with, potions. Maybe there's something with ECR potions. Maybe there's something with, bloodstones or whatever the other guild potions are. But to radically change how Riftwatchers is being sold is not the play, and I think it's gonna piss off a huge amount of our community, and worse than that, it's actually gonna scare future pre-sale investors, which is definitely not the move we want. So I actually don't support this one unless something radically changes about how it's proposed, because it's not proposed yet. This is like a pre-proposal. And one last thing, I've seen one of the guys from Time and Attention, his name's Chuni. Chuni actually created a new proposal for the DAO. He goes, all thumbs up for the team. And so the idea is that we would actually have to upvote ideas, all ideas. For clarity, what we're saying here is that the community should vote on what proposals should be put to a vote before they actually get put forward for a final proposal vote. Maybe it sounds convoluted in the sense of like we're going to vote before we vote. But here's the thing. Didn't this feel like it came out of nowhere? I mean, Riftwatcher packers are brand new. And what if just send it through some sort of vetting process? And maybe, there's a popular vote component to this, of vetted accounts, as opposed to just the SPS weight. So on one hand, you get an analysis from a decentralized analysis of the value and merit of a proposal based on popular vote on one level, and then on another level, SPS governance takes hold and says yes or no with weighted vote. I don't know, but man, people are not pleased with this one, and I do hope that it doesn't ultimately end up moving forward. I don't think they will. I thought this one through. Guys, thanks so much for your time and attention. Love to see what your comments say below. Have an amazing day. God bless.